I've been getting a lot of requests to talk about Mason Greenwood, the Mason Greenwood situation. Do I want to see him play for United? Do I not want to see him play for Manchester United again? I have covered this in lives, in other videos that aren't titled that, so I understand people aren't quite catching my thoughts on it. But I thought I covered it quite extensively the other day in a live. Here's what I had to say on the situation. Sudip says, do I think they will let Greenwood back? Yeah, I mean, I had a bit of a discussion about this morning. Myself, Ronaldo, and one of the best journalists in the game. We had a talk about this morning. And unlike some content creators that are happy to be in contempt of court discussing what has happened, I don't want to do that. And I think I've made my feelings relatively clear. I think domestic abuse is a very bizarre crime. And I don't think it's necessarily entirely one-sided. I believe the relationship Mason Greenwood in is probably just a fucking horrible, toxic relationship full of drama that comes from both sides. And I think that's possibly one of the reasons why any sort of statement may have been rescinded. But there was a statement made at one point, and allegations made at one point, which were supported by evidence. That evidence was later rescinded. Now, was that done because of coercion? Well, coercion can come in many forms. And unfortunately, domestic abuse is one of the things where convictions are very rare because of families being involved, children being involved, shame, honour, all sorts of things being involved in it. And I think it's a very, very sensitive topic. And it's probably one of the reasons why there's I believe somewhere in the region of a 1 and 2% conviction rate of domestic abuse allegations. Does that mean that 90% of domestic abuse allegations are lies or wrong? No. I just believe it's one of those that's extremely hard to get a conviction because of the emotions that are involved in this. And yes, they are raising, potentially or about to start raising a family together. Does that mean what we heard didn't happen? No. Does that mean that what we heard is the sole truth of that relationship? No. And does it mean that people don't deserve second chances? No. I think that there's validity in all sorts of arguments. I don't think that they've got back together, therefore fuck all happened is valid at all. And I thought something smelt funky from the moment that we saw the statement from the victim's father. And when the victim's father stated that they've known him since he was in the academy, instead of saying, look, if you interview me and you've done the same things to my daughter, my statement would be, I hope the police find him before I do, because I'll be going to jail for a very long time. And then when the father's statement wasn't that, and it was like, he's a lovely boy, you're like, And you can suspect why people may be saying these sorts of things. I don't know. I think it's an absolute fucking mess. And I think United are right and wrong in whatever decision that they choose to make. I don't think United can win in this. I think they can only lose. And it's the severity of how much they lose with whichever decision that they make. And I think that's all there is to say on it. Do I want to see him back as a footballer? Well, I would say to you this. Would it have got this far if it was a lesser player? And if the answer is no, then they should be treated the same. And I think that's it. And I think it's an absolute mess. I don't think it's black and white. I think there are levels and shades of grey. United believe they owe a duty of care to him. That's fine. Where's the duty of care for all of the players that they release? That maybe haven't been in trouble with the police. That maybe haven't been accused of domestic abuse and other things. I think there is no good to be had. I think it's a horrendous situation, and I don't know how the club come out of this in a positive sense. And that's it. Manchester United have decided to loan Mason Greenwood in the middle of trying to bring Rasmus Hojlund to the club. That is what reports are saying right now. It seems Erik ten Hag is reluctant to sell the forward. He is contracted with United until 2025. I'm not sure that I can see Mason signing an extension, in all honesty. I think there's a very real chance he just walks away. The club do have the option of an additional year, though. Seems like United have discussed the option of loaning Mason Greenwood to Atalanta, who apparently are interested. And it could form part of the deal to bring Rasmus Hojlund to Manchester United. Supposedly, John Murtough has held extensive talks with Atalanta and has discussed a possible deal that involves Mason going one way and Rasmus coming the other way. Seemingly, Roma manager Jose Mourinho is not interested in signing Mason Greenwood, despite the reports to the contrary earlier this week. And according to Atalanta BC News, Atalanta has reached an agreement with Mason Greenwood. He was in Bergamo, or he will be in Bergamo on Tuesday. He said no to Juventus to join Atalanta. So it actually seems like the way these reports are going, and the language they're using isn't the language of fluffiness and could be and possiblies and might be. Like, you see so many, United might be interested in blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and we might not be. Now what? Whereas these seem like concrete reports. These seem like quite certain statements. They don't seem wishy-washy. And that to me suggests that someone here has got a handle on something. Now, the latest that I saw in terms of Rasmus Hojlund was United had bid somewhere like 30-odd million and they wanted 80. And that is a long way apart. Now, could United bid 30-odd and waive a fee for taking Mason Greenwood on loan for the season? Is that a possibility? I think the thing that needs to be figured out now is it's got to be, it's just got to be the price. I think Rasmus, we know, wants to come to United. Seemingly Mason Greenwood has reached an agreement. It says Mason Greenwood has reached an agreement. Not that Mason Greenwood might reach an agreement, could be interested. It says Mason Greenwood has reached an agreement with Atalanta. So it seems like this is something that both Manchester United, Atalanta, Mason Greenwood, Rasmus Hojlund all want to happen. I imagine the negotiating sticking point right now is how much of the fee is waived, reduced, or deferred with the inclusion of Mason Greenwood into these terms. And that makes it extremely interesting because now, do Manchester United bring in another striker on the back of Rasmus Hojlund, or is Erik ten Hag going to look at Rasmus Hojlund as being the person that can lead Manchester United's line? Now, I would have to presume Rasmus Hojlund, Mason Mount, Onana, they look like that's 3 deals that United can get sorted by the middle of next week. Really? There's one more. Amrabat. I feel the noise coming out of Italy at the moment, the fact that he's got the connection with Ten Hag previously, that's 4 genuinely good signings for United. You can throw in Zion Suzuki to that. I don't know anything about him. I'm not going to pretend to. I am going to spend all weekend watching videos of him though. So I know he's from Little Rock, Arkansas. That's all I know. I will try and figure him out and let you know if I think he's any good or not. But either way, it looks like those 4 first-choice players really added some steel to midfield with Mount, and if you get Amrabat, that's definitely added steel to it. You've got a striker in. Now, you may keep Anthony Martial as your backup. You don't need to let him go, and I think you'll struggle to offload him. So if you've got Anthony Martial as your backup, okay. I can trust Rasmus Hojlund to lead the line for a season with him as the backup. Is that your Harry Kane 30-goal a season? It's not, right? Let's be honest with ourselves, it isn't. But could it mean that Manchester United at least start to play a system that Erik ten Hag recognises? In defence, we look good. Could argue that we want another one in. Maybe not. Maybe keep it as it is. Listen, I'm excited. I am genuinely excited. It looks like things are actually starting to move and make positive waves. If Sheikh Jassin comes in and he's willing to spend some money, could that also be included this summer? Could you see a Rasmus Hojlund get done, some sales happen, and then maybe United bring in an actual Harry Kane? Not a potential Harry Kane, but the actual Harry Kane. Could that happen? I think you've got the business done nice and early. That's a positive. Is there time left in the window where United could maybe do something else? I mean, it started off like a house on fire. Actually, starting off quite nice. So, bonus, get it all done before pre-season starts. It's all you can ask for. And it looks like we're going to get at least a lot of it done, if not all of it. There's always something to the end of the window, isn't there? Always. But I'd be quite content with this. I would. I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Does this now look like an open goal? It kicks the decision to what to do with Mason Greenwood down the line. It brings in Rasmus Hojlund. I think it takes a big chunk of the fee off the cost of Rasmus Hojlund. To what degree, obviously, I'm not privy. And I reckon Onana gets pretty much sewn up this weekend. Man. Movements. Let me know your thoughts. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.